Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Herbalism segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I am your host, Tennille Christensen from Earth Mama, where I teach people how to thrive and get skilled for sustainability. As an educator, kitchen witch, and plant lover, I welcome you to tune in as I interview permaculturalists from around the world. We will learn holistic ways of integrating plants into our homes, gardens, and communities for healing. Together, we will explore the art and science of this regenerative design system and harvest the collective wisdom. Permaculture offers a pathway to empower people to develop their lifestyles and landscapes. So let's discover how to grow and know plants with a purpose. Welcome, Rodney. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. We have worked with each other in and around aquaculture and permaculture over the last decade, sharing students and learning from each other and running courses together. So this is such an honor to have you on the show today so that we can really share with our listeners a conversation around, I guess, resilience, considering your story and the path that you've been on in sustainable aquaculture. And just your interesting lifestyle and the way that you have incorporated permaculture into your life and where you're going and what you're doing with sustainable farming in our region. So could you start today with, I guess, sharing with people who you are? Because it's just, I can't explain it. There's just so much. I'll miss something. So if you could do an intro, that would be great. And just kind of sharing why permaculture is an important aspect of your life in this journey.
Wow, thanks, Tennille. Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Look, a bit of a bio on me, I guess. You called me interesting. That's great. That's a very nice way to put it. Most people say I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm out of control. Radical. But you know what? Radical is fantastic. You need to be radical. These people all over the world are radical, businessmen everywhere. Look at, say, Richard Branson. He's radical and he makes a lot of money. Look at Elon Musk, radical. People like that are radical and it's accepted. So, look, I am also radical in everything I do. But who I am and what I'm about, essentially, just in a nutshell, I'm about people and the planet, really. That's what I'm about. I have done a lot of things in my life, but it back in 1999, if I go back to there, I quit Australia and went to New Guinea and lived in the jungle for the last 20 odd years. So you can say that's interesting or very radical. And I just went to help the world, basically. That was my mission, and help other people. And so I ended up in New Guinea and ended up working with the Salvos, and I was a development manager, and then I set up chicken projects and ducks and all sorts of microeconomic schemes for women and schools and health centres, and I just kept seeing need and more need. So I just kept going and going and going, and then ended up in the mines. And I was basically, well, the way they looked at it, I was the guy to stop people stealing gold in a gold mine. But the way I looked at it, I was the last hope for the people and the environment. So I ended up doing all sorts of riparian vegetation, plantings, and basically saving culture as well. But I'm an environmental scientist, no qualifications whatsoever in community development, but I've done probably 15 years community development work and projects. But I'm all about helping other people and sustainability. That's what I'm about. That's what we're all about as human beings. We need to connect with other people and make sure the planet's still here for tomorrow. Along the way, I've picked up a lot of awards and all sorts of accolades, but I never went looking for any of those things. All I did was from the heart and with passion. And but I did get a couple of little awards along the way, which I don't really gloat about or really publicise too much. But it's the world does honour things in some way, but I don't do anything for any honours. But the Queen did give me an OBE, which is the Order of the British Empire once, which was an unexpected honour and a few other government things that I've picked up along the way. But look, it's all for just helping other people, really, and helping the environment and just having a heart. That's it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So these things, the work that you were doing in Papua New Guinea within community and I guess looking after the environment in comparison to what mining was doing was acknowledged and seen.
Mm.
Um, and and so how did that actually lead you into aquaculture? Because you're the aquaponics gardener, you have an amazing
Yeah.
YouTube channel, you teach so many people about setting up food systems in their homes and I guess on a commercial level as well. So how did that transition, or how did you get from like incorporating all these permaculture practices into supporting community in Papua New Guinea to be doing
Mm.
that to now be doing sustainable aquaculture?
Good question. I think it all starts with my grandmother when I was a kid. It all starts with her. She paid me to clean her garden, basically. So, way back in the day, I was running around with a shovel, spade, just a hoe, cleaning grandma's garden. So, she taught me the principles of permaculture when I was little, probably from birth. And then she paid me to do her work. And I didn't realize I was learning the whole way. I did not notice. I just helped grandma, basically, and my grandfather as well. He was a very practical guy. He always put me to work in the shed. So I learned a lot of practical things, how to build things and how to fix things. I didn't, as I said, didn't even realize I was learning. I was just helping them. So that's where it all started. And I also had a fish tank as a kid, and I always tipped fish water on grandma's garden. And I didn't realize, but that patch where I tipped the fish tank water, all the ammonia and all the fish waste, which is toxic to fish. That's why you need to clean your tanks out and filters. Well, that side of the garden grew so much better than the other side. So I kind of realized that as a young kid. And then in my teenage years, I started to play around with what I called growing fish with veggies. And there was no term for aquaponics. No one invented aquaponics. I was playing around since the 90s with aquaponics before well and truly the word was invented. Did I invent aquaponics? Well, I did. There's about 3 people in the world that say they did. I'm one of them because I had no internet at the time. Wasn't? Can you remember a time? There's no internet back
Yeah,
then.
I remember. I lived in that time.
We're not that old, but I tell you, a
Yeah.
lot of changes in my own life as yours. There was no internet. There was no mobile phones. You couldn't download anything back
You
then.
had to refer to the encyclopedia
That's
books
right.
in the
There was books.
bookshelf,
And what do you look
which
up?
didn't have aquaculture or
No, it
aquaponics.
didn't. It didn't have aquaponics. I didn't even know I was creating aquaponics. I just had a fish tank, and then I just floated veggies in the top, and they grew, and because of what I saw in Grandma's garden. And then I had a fish pond outside. I love fish, and I always had fish, and I was breeding fish and making pocket money with. They were koi carp. Don't hold me on that environmental disaster of koi. Not koi, but wild carp, a big problem. We're not going into that. But koi carp in a contained pond were beautiful and had a great garden growing. But anyway, I turned the koi pond, I was building a filter and I made a vegetable filter. And then I realized that, hey, I'm growing veggies. It's taking up all the nutrient. And I've got a very clear fish pond. The fish are happy. They're getting oxygen from overflowing water. Veggies are growing because there's nutrient coming in and there's always oxygen. So that's how I came up with aquaponics. And then I got a job at council and I was talking to people and ran a few environmental courses for council and I called it Growing Fish and Vegetables Together. And then one day in that course, I probably ran 15 of these things before someone piped up and said, "Hey mate, what are you banging on about? This is aquaponics. Why don't you use the word?" And I went, "Aqua what?" I didn't say it. I just wrote it down. I went, "Aqua what?" And I looked it up when I got home. There was internet then. And turns out there's a whole movement on aquaponics. And I'd already put up, before that, there was no YouTube either. But I had been making some videos. I had a little camera and I was making videos. And then then someone said to me it was aquaponics. And then turned my YouTube channel into an aquaponics channel. But after I learned the name. So I did it well and truly before most Australians. But it's about 3 of us, as I say, in Australia. But I went to New Guinea after that and I left my YouTube alone. I forgot all about YouTube. I didn't forget about aquaponics. I actually did that as a project when I was working with the salvos at a place called Yonki Dam. There were some farmers there, fish farmers. There's tilapia, which is an environmental vandal, but Australia, in all our wisdom, introduced tilapia to New Guinea in all their waterways. So I knew that, and I was trying to help them do something with their fish and make an income. So I pumped the water out into the vegetables, containerized like a floating net. So we're using the fish waste and growing veggies, pumping it up onto the bank, similar to aquaponics, not exactly aquaponics, but I used the fish nutrient water. So I started doing that in New Guinea. I was setting up all sorts of projects in New Guinea. Just fish was just one of them, chickens, ducks. And then I did come back about 4 years later. And then I found out that aquaponics was a thing, and the whole world, I had a couple of million views on one video and another couple of million on another video. I'm like, holy smokes. I couldn't believe that aquaponics
While you were in the
I was in the
jungle.
jungle of New Guinea, and the aquaponics took off, and after that, I just, I had kids and family after that, so I did a lot myself, and I was continually teaching other people, and then I was growing everything, even fruit trees in aquaponics, and just writing down and teaching others what I'd learned.
Yes.
Which was totally different to what everybody else was teaching. There were other people teaching aquaponics that after I started researching, I found out. But what they were teaching was pure mechanical. It wasn't actually biology. I've come from an environmental background, conservation background, and a sustainable background. That's what I studied at uni. And I put all my biology and community development knowledge into aquaponics. So, and then moving on, eventually, I was in and out of New Guinea for the last 24 years, actually. Just slowed down recently in COVID. That's the only reason I stopped. I was on a few panels, but for all sorts of things, and then eventually I ended up on a panel for COVID. And I don't want to talk too much about COVID. It's a highly controversial issue, but let's just say that I was well placed to run all the COVID programs in Papua New Guinea with logistics, and I knew all the contacts and I knew everything. I'd already set up maybe 20 health posts throughout the highlands and another 30 down on the coast, and also a couple of big hospitals, and I ran all the logistics and the medicines and all of that. I had 100 staff doing those things, and I'm not a doctor, but I had doctors employed, but I didn't agree with a couple of things on that panel that I was on, and I didn't get the answers that I was asking, so I resigned. What did I do then? I bought a farm. So what the whole intention was, me buying a farm, was just all my 20 odd years in Papua New Guinea, conservation, community development, and I wanted to let my wildest desires run free and run my own business for the family and bring New Guineans down and also employ other people. Had this great vision, and it's still the vision, and it's still happening. But a lot of things have happened along the way. But I bought that farm for aquaponics. I bought a traditional barramundi farm. It's a barramundi farm, and it's had a few leases of life over the years. I think it started in the 80s, but it started out an eel farm, and then it went into a redclaw farm, redclaw crayfish, which it now is. But then it went to barramundi with another guy. I took over the barramundi, which I was going to use that fish waste for aquaponics and run all sorts of aquaponics in between all the rows of the fish ponds. But in the process of all that, the barramundi market fell out of them, and I couldn't make a cent with barramundi. In fact, the farm has not made a cent just yet, but it will, and I'm very confident it will. And then on top of that, I got flooded. So 2023, December 17, a date I'll never forget. The Barron River burst its banks. It went 24 meters on my property. It went 20 meters up the bank. My ponds are 2 meters raised already because it is on a floodplain. I knew that. However, I took a chance and I got wet. So I got flooded. It's a 1 in 100 year, they say. Well, it happened to me in my third year.
And so it went 24 meters over, which was like 2 meters over the 2 meter flood height that your ponds
Yeah,
were built at.
that's right.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff. And I lost everything. So I lost 70,000 barramundi. And no, sorry, 70,000 Redclaw, because I actually was transitioning into Redclaw because the barramundi market fell out and my cost to produce the goods were nowhere near what I could receive. So a business has to make money.
Yeah.
It can't just be sustainable principles. It actually has to make money. And I didn't realize that really because, well, obviously business needs to make money, but I was a little bit naive. I've never been a businessman. Well, I do see myself as not a businessman. I'm trying to be a businessman, but I've got a lot of different principles that I'm bringing to my business. So I am a businessman, definitely, but I'm bringing a lot of other principles that most business people would never entertain. Um, but I did lose it all. It was a catastrophic event. But you know what? I am in the flood zone and I took a chance. I knew it may flood one day, but there was, I'm an environmental guy. When I got there, I could see the lay of the land. I can see the mountains. I can see the river, but there's 18 meters of bank. You would never expect that to happen. And then 2 meters high on top of that. And then the flood went above that. So I lost a lot. I lost everything. I lost even that certificate from the Queen. My medals also flooded away, but I did find them in the paddocks. All my paddle wheels for barramundi were energy inefficient, and I lost most of those. I lost tractor, I lost quad bike, truck, all infrastructure. I lost over $1 million of infrastructure. It was mostly secondhand, but you know what? There's no way I can get it back. It's just money. I don't have any. But the bank is it's all mortgaged to the hilt. But you know what? Life's a journey. You need to, and money should move through us. It shouldn't just stay with you anyway. But I could have done without the flood. Let me tell you, I was transitioning to
For
Redclaw,
sure. Yes.
and it's put me back a couple of years. But you know what? I don't dwell on the past. I just don't. I look to the future. I always have a vision. I never stop moving, and I go forward. So you've only got a few options in life. You can stop or you can keep going. And hopefully that answers the question. I can't even remember the question anymore.
That covers a lot. So you've got this wealth of experience. You've got all of the permaculture experience, working in community, developing food programs for people, micro enterprises. So now you've got this project it's Bubura.
Wybora, yep.
Your farm is now called the Barron River Redclaw Farm.
You got it. Change
All
the
right.
name.
Yeah. And you are an emerging business person, so this is going to be a successful business. You've got all these other sustainable principles that you're weaving into your business model, which most business as usual companies would probably just be focusing on the dollar bottom line. So, as we know, it's not always easier or cheaper. Like there's often less of a profit margin if you're doing things where you're incorporating the true cost of the environment and looking after people. So what is the difference between what you're doing in terms of traditional aquaculture, what is sustainable aquaculture, and just if you can give an explanation to our listeners as to what are you doing that is different?
Yep. Well, I had a couple of options. Like I said, you can just give up. And that's what nearly everyone told me to do, honestly. I've even got a business coach. I buy a lot of wealth creation sort of stuff, and I'm always learning. I never stop learning. Even in New Guinea, in the jungle, I was learning and learning and learning from these people. And I learned so much, such a wealth of knowledge. I called it university. The jungle, these people up there taught me more than I ever got out of a university degree or an honours degree or anything else I've done. That's just all theoretical and a bit of practical, but you know what I mean. I was one-on-one learning in New Guinea, learned how to build a grass house, using kunai grass, cutting the grass, growing the grass, maintaining the grass, and then putting it on a house. That's the sort of stuff that I learned from a very practical level. So what were my options when I got, first of all, when barramundi market went to $4 a kilo and my break even was $18 a kilo? Can you imagine that? Well,
And
what
what
did it?
influenced that, I wonder? Like, how
There's a
does it
couple,
drop out?
there's a couple of things. One, unfortunately, the government gave some grants, sustainability grants, I must say, to a couple of, well, to one company in particular. I won't mention names, or I'll be sued. But the government gave a sustainability grant, but that's only from an environmental sustainable point of view, not what the actual word means. The word actually means, it's got three parts to sustainability. It doesn't mean environment. It means social component, environmental component for sure, but also a business or economic component.
Mhm.
So the government gave I think that's hundreds of, let's say, I can't remember exact figure, but let's just say roughly $20 million, might be more or less, but to one company, well, that crippled a lot of the industry as far as I've seen it. And I've written submissions to the government too. They know all this because they asked for submissions only a few months ago to fisheries. And I actually wrote a big submission and listed all these things down. Also, the imports, $7 landed at the Sydney fish markets for barramundi coming from Philippines. That's also a known fact. So I can't compete either with the $7 landed fish when my break even is way up here. So I had electricity costs, I have water costs, a bore, and all these things, and not even paying myself. So there's no way I could compete. So first of all, that was a barramundi issue, and then I did start to pivot. I saw the writing on the wall. I wanted to go straight into aquaponics, but I couldn't because I'm a business now and I've got huge expenses and fish food and all of these things. So I had two options: go bankrupt, which is what my advisors were telling me, who I paid to tell me to go bankrupt. And also other advisors around the place as well. I saw different opinions. I went and had coffees with people, went and talked to successful business people, accountants, lawyers. Nearly everyone said, "You're great, Rod. You know what you're doing. You've got a great, clear vision. You're helping people, but you're never going to make a cent. This is basically go bankrupt and you'll be okay. You just go bankrupt." And I couldn't do that because it's going to hurt other people. I had a 14,000 fish food bill, and just that alone, I couldn't do that to the fish food company, freight company, about 10 grand. All these things add up and up and up and up on top of the barramundi that I'm getting $4 a kilo for. So in fact, I was losing over 100 grand a year running barramundi. I can't. Other farms are bigger; they can handle that, and they've got staff. I'm also a one-man show, so this one guy couldn't do that. So I pivoted to Redclaw crayfish. I looked at the market. I could see an opportunity. It's also low energy and much more sustainable product. So what I mean by that is with barramundi, I had 3 paddle wheels, these big wheels that create oxygen. Each one of those was 2 kilowatts. So 6 kilowatts running in 11 ponds. That's 66 kilowatts every single hour. So that's huge energy intensive industry. And so I put 60 kilowatts of solar on the roof to offset that. So that's the first thing I did. So energy wise, once the flood happened, it wiped out all my paddle wheels, so it's much easier to be more efficient when you lost all your equipment. So that helped me in a way to go forward with only Redclaw, and that I didn't have a choice. The only thing I could do was a low energy intensive product, and I couldn't think of anything else. And the more I researched, and I did do research, I don't just jump into everything. I am also someone that I seek wisdom, and even if I don't believe it from someone else, I seek more wisdom until I really understand what it is. Because, you need knowledge. And if you don't have it, you need to seek it. So I run by faith, not by fear. So that's something that I really, really is my stronghold. I run on faith, not on fear. And believing is never, seeing is not believing for me. You need to have that faith first. And you need to believe it before you see it. Honestly, that's the only way I operate my life. Otherwise, why would I live in a war zone in New Guinea? Because I could see the outcome. no one would do what I've done. I've actually seen a lot more action than a lot of military, and I can say that because I certainly have. And I've never been in the army, never been in the Navy, Air Force, anything. But I've seen a lot of action, unfortunately for me, and including kidnappings and so many things. But all of that builds resilience and tolerance. I don't like it. I did wish I never went through any of it, but it does build the character of who I am. And the listeners need to know that this guy is a little crazy because I see things in faith, and then I take action, massive action, not action, massive action. But from a sustainability point of view, energy was the first thing I did. Oh, change species was the first thing I did, pivoted totally to Redclaw. They don't actually need oxygen whatsoever. They can climb out and get their own oxygen, go back in the water. So that's a good species to do for me
They
when you're learning
are. They seem
everything.
like a more resilient animal
They're more
for.
resilient. They can help themselves. So
Yeah,
that was the first thought. I thought, okay, you guys, knowing biology, I know that they can do that. And I thought, you know what? Help me out. You guys get your own air for a while. And that's what they did. So once I picked up 400 off the grass out of my 70,000. I picked up 400 and I said, okay, you guys breed up. So I started a breeding program, chucked them all in there as best I could. And I got one pond with a little bit of oxygen, not paddle wheels. I did something different. I put an air compressor on, which was only 1 kilowatt. So 2 kilowatts. And that 2 kilowatt air compressor can run all ponds. So for 2 kilowatts now, just on energy we're talking about, I'm running 11 ponds on 2 kilowatts an hour instead of 66 kilowatts an hour. My bill before was $10,000 a month energy, and now $600 a month. So
wow.
financially, that's a massive difference as well when I've got
Yeah,
nothing, no money. So
reducing
just
overheads. Love
that's just
it.
energy alone on sustainability. From a
Yeah,
waste point of view, there's so much less waste and any packaging and all of that I recycle. And actually, I don't even use it. I don't even get it. With Barramundi, I was packaging like crazy, buying plastic to wrap around pallets. All of that is out the window. I don't do it anymore. So I've actually avoided waste, which is in the waste hierarchy. That's the first thing you got to do. So from a waste point of view, I've avoided it all,
amazing.
almost all.
Yeah,
Now, and I sell them live. So I'm not even using refrigeration or anything like that I used to do with Barron. From there, from a so it's also a native species. Now Barra is also a native species and an endemic species, localized to that area, and so is Redclaw. To me, other farms can't say that, but I've done a lot of research as well. Redclaw for me is endemic to the Barron River, and that's the lowest extremities of their range. So I'm also a purely endemic species that I'm using. So that's great because if there is an escapee, it's natural, it's meant to be there. So
yeah,
that's another absolute sustainable point of view.
yep.
I've got predator nets over the top that gets rid of predators. I don't have to kill anything, which other
So
farms usually do. I don't use any chemicals whatsoever. I'm organic in everything that I do. Most people, Barra farms and other farms, and they'll probably shoot me for this, but there's formalin is in a lot of fish farms, and that's pretty nasty stuff. You don't want to drink it. They also spray all the weeds and all the edges. I don't do any of that. I just let them grow because it actually creates a barrier for rats, which is my biggest predator. So I let all the grasses and weeds grow, and I use chicken wire. So they've got to get through the grass first and weeds, and then they get to the chicken wire. I go, oh, geez, I'm too big to get through. So I've helped the predators not to get to my fish, so I don't kill anything as much as possible. What else do I do? I exchange water. The whole farm's set up to exchange water. It's a RAS system, so reticulating aquaculture system.
do you mean like a closed loop system?
Closed loop.
Yeah,
It's closed loop. I do add feed into there, but I also and I use a pellet, but it's formulated. It's 90% plant protein. It's a mixture of all sorts of products. Can't really. Well, there's all sorts of grasses and wheat and other things, rye, so many things in there, chickpeas or anything else, even
grains, pulses, and
spoilage.
grasses. Okay,
They'll eat
foliage. Yep,
mangoes, they'll eat spoilage, they'll eat basically anything.
yep,
So you could throw carrots in there. I mean, you can, this is something that I'm going to do as well, collect supermarket waste later on and throw all that in there as well. And that'll, again, reduce the waste stream and costs for me as well.
yep.
So there's that as well. I also, as I touched on before, the true meaning of sustainability includes social connection as well. So I do teach a lot of people as well. And so I do advertise school groups, and I had, I think, 12 through last year. And also I started doing some consulting as well to especially Indigenous groups, because I really am trying to help food security in the north, and really trying to help just with my knowledge and education in community, but also in aquaculture. And a lot of these groups, well, they have a lot of land, and they all have interest in using their land to generate income, but also for food for them. So I've really pivoted my barramundi farm into. I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on Redclaw, but on the side, which is also another focus. I've actually got a few pillars in my business. One of them is Indigenous knowledge sharing, and Redclaw are an Indigenous food.
Yeah.
And I'm also building up aquaponics as well. Now, I did start doing that last year, and I lost all of it. So building aquaponics was, as I said, was the original plan, and I'm doing that. But I did lose it all, and now I'm starting to rebuild again. But all this takes money and time, and I've spent the whole year last year cleaning up the property. I've cleaned up 70%, and most of it or all of it by hand, no tractor or anything, lost it all. So it's all by hand. I've had a few days with volunteers, which was fantastic, but realistically, mostly just me, one person. But it's been a hard slog. But with aquaponics, I'm starting to rebuild again. I've collected some more tanks, and I've got building materials, all recycled, all secondhand materials. That's what I use. And I'm building a big education centre. Now, I'm saying I'm building it. Like I said, I see things as finished already. And it's going to be a huge education centre, but in reality, I've only built a very, very small one. But I bring in people, social groups. I've linked up with a few different companies that are sending me students as well, and best of my ability, I'm squeezing in teaching opportunities, whatever I can do. And I'm also working with the university, helping them, or they're working with me more or less. We're working together in partnership, just trying to build something in the Indigenous space, especially because I see that as a huge need in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. I was really inspired by the agriculture rangers that we just co-taught with, and
Mm,
just their wisdom and what they know, and their like so much interest. Like, it's such great students to have. They really
mm,
were took it all in, and then value added to what we were sharing, and
mm,
it's so cool. It's good to have, you work with lots of different students, but sometimes you just see when the information really lands, and that, people are going to take it forth and do
mm.
some really good work with it. Hey there, I hope you're enjoying this episode and any of the 4 episodes that our team provides for free every single month. And we're doing it here on a volunteer basis because it is our intention to make it as free and accessible to everybody. However, it is with your support that enables us to continue and fires us up to keep delivering this knowledge. And so it's very easy, if you can and you want to support us by checking out the show notes below. You can buy us a cuppa, which is a one-time donation, or join us on our Patreon from as little as $2 to $8 a month. And this really fills our cup so we can keep continuing the good work. Thank you so much. So how would you, from a permaculture perspective or herbalism perspective, how do you integrate plants in either your home or your own garden or your community for health and well-being?
Yeah, well, if I go back to New Guinea days, just to start there, I touched on a kunai grass house. That's pretty much what all the Highlanders of New Guinea still live in today. I mean, when I say village, a village setting, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about when others in, like, say, the UK or somewhere say village, they mean industrial revolution houses, but that's not a village to me. It's dirt floors, grass house, and pit blind walls. And It's what I started out with and lived in for many years. So I really learnt the concepts from those guys. They do have to nurture their grass. To us, it's just grass. They mow it. All my neighbours, where I'm sitting right now, I'm actually in Cairns right here, right now, and the neighbours have all got manicured grass. They're out
Lawns.
there
Yeah.
every day. And I'm not worried about them hearing this because they wouldn't get onto a podcast either to listen about this topic. They just wouldn't, because they're out there mowing their grass and poisoning the weeds
The
every second.
edges. Yeah.
So it's a totally different philosophy, and they'll probably never hear this. But they know my fence in this yard is a chicken wire fence. I'm in a very exclusive suburb, but I was here first. It's an old house and an old property, and it all developed around me. So I'm in this property here. I've jumped from New Guinea now to Cairns, but this property here, as soon as we were able to buy a property, and the reason we bought here is so I could get up and down to New Guinea more frequently and easier. We needed food. So in New Guinea, what do we do? Well, a lot of the positions that I had for the first 7 years were all voluntary. Didn't have any money. They weren't paying us. We needed to feed ourselves. So the people showed me their techniques in, say, sweet potato as an example. They'd mound up the ground deliberately. They'd light a fire over the top of all their grasses and weeds in a certain section. They'd use that ash. They had no university knowledge, no courses. They didn't go to your course, Tennille, in permaculture and learn about the benefits of ash or
Potash. Yeah.
potash. They don't know about activated charcoal. They don't know about fertilizers. They just know that if they light a fire over thousands of years, they figured this out, and they nurture and they plant in a mound. So it's not just flat on the ground. They've mounded up the nutrients. They also add all sorts of pig feces and other things, because they do have pigs and chickens, and they mix that together. They're actually composting without really knowing what they're. It's just them. It's just part of them. They don't go to courses to learn this. In fact, I was learning so much from them that I put into my courses over the years. But that's, yeah, so in Australia, here in Cairns, that's what we did. In between, up and down, up and down. My family and I were travelling. But in the end, had a couple of kids, so they stayed here, and then I kept travelling. It seems like a long time. So every time we came back, we had sweet potatoes, Kangkong growing in aquaponics, lettuce, kale, eggplants, strawberries, tomatoes, you name it. Anything we needed was in the backyard. And then I'd go back to New Guinea. It's all there as well in everyone else's backyards. And I could feed myself up there. I could feed myself down here. Sure, we've got all sorts of things in Australia. You get a job, you go to Coles or Woolworths, or that's the done thing. But why do people do that when it's so simple to grow in the backyard? It takes time, and that's the problem. There's no simple thing, but it takes time. So people don't often want to invest the time, and it is an investment, as you know. Weeds do grow, but if you just dig them out and drop them right where you found them, and you do a little bit each day, there's no problem. So
I think
that's
people are time poor and skill poor as well. So it's like, you learn all these skills up there, even though you've got a university degree and all of these things. It's like those life skills.
Life skills,
And
but
we
you know
don't
what?
learn these at school. Like, we don't get these life skills. You have to go out and find. It's crazy that we have to re-educate ourselves on this basic thing of growing food and choose what is known as an alternative lifestyle, to work less for the man, so that we're not spending our money on supermarket chains that have this very disconnected food system, instead of working less, saving money. Like you talked about before, reducing overheads, even in business, but in our own life, so that we have more time. We can invest in these life skills and grow a better quality food, essentially, which that outcome is way more sustainable for our environment than relying on these
But
big.
it is a choice as
It
well,
is a
Tennille.
choice,
So
yeah.
I'm not. People are time poor and all of that. So am I. I'm extremely time poor.
You're up at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Usually, that's because I can't sleep. I've got too many ideas and too much flooding in, and not enough hours in the day. But what I've learnt recently is that I don't excuse other people for their choices. Not making a decision is a choice.
Yeah.
So people often try and tell me all sorts of things about so many different things. But at the end of the day, it's a choice. I chose when I actually, way off topic, grew up in a broken home. I chose my behavior. I chose not to go to jail. I chose not to steal. I chose not to cheat. I could have gone down that path so easily. And I chose not to follow an example that I was given as a child. I chose not to. Instead, I looked at a teacher at school and I owe him a lot. And I modeled my behavior off a male teacher at school. But that was a conscious choice. So when people tell me they don't have time or it's their lot in life or whatever it is, I just throw it straight back at them. And it does sound nasty. I'm not trying to be mean. I just say, well, sorry, that's your choice. And it is. It totally is their choice. If I can come out of a broken home and not follow what I was given as an example, and I choose a different path, entirely upend what I was taught as a child, then anyone can do anything. And I do not condone other people's, oh, it just happened. And no, you change, you pivot, you grow, you learn, you get wisdom, you seek wisdom. As I said, you walk by faith, not by sight. You learn, you keep going, you pivot, you don't ever stay standing. That's when you fail. And I do not fail. I never give up. Why? Why give up? And that's why the bank is still behind me, even though what can they see? They've actually seen that my business, which hasn't made 1 cent in an entire year, has the mortgage paid already. I'm in front on the mortgage with zero income. How is that possible? Well, that's what I've done this year. It's a choice. It's a conscious choice. I had donations coming in. I had friends give me money. I've found other avenues. I've pre-sold Redclaw before they even had them. I've looked for ways and means to make things work. I can give up today. That's what everyone expects me to do. I'm not going
I
to.
don't expect you. I'm going to hold you accountable because it's a choice. But you're
Mhm.
right. But it takes awareness and consciousness,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
that one teacher
that's
that
right.
can show you a different path or show you how leading by faith instead of fear can lead to a different outcome. So
That's
that's
right.
why teaching's so important too.
Very
Like what you're
important.
doing, the education side of things, instead of just being, in behind the scenes in the business and
Mhm.
empowering people in many
That's
ways.
that's right. Empowering. That is the key. Letting other people make mistakes as well. Unfortunately, we
That's
all.
how we grow, isn't
That's how
it?
we grow
Like
and learn and stretch and
happy
like a lot.
accidents, we like to call them.
Exactly. Could have done without a flood.
Yeah.
However, I'm very thankful that it did happen because I actually met a lot of people in that process. A lot of community I met that I didn't know before,
Yeah.
and there's so many good outcomes that I choose to focus on. Yes, I've got still mess to clean up everywhere, but you've got to keep moving. And if you just do 1 hour a day, you
Yeah.
can achieve anything. And that's what I do. That's why I get up so early. I do all my typing and emails and seeking answers and meditation and seeking God for wisdom all in the morning. And by 9 o'clock, then I make phone calls. And then it's the heat of the day. I come back inside after I go out a bit. And then my whole day is like that. In the middle of the day in the heat, I do other things inside and then I go back out again in the afternoon. So a bit of structure as well
That makes
goes a long
sense.
way. So it's the same
Yeah.
with gardening, same with
Yeah.
any sort of gardening,
Working
and
with the season. That's a sustainable practice in itself, right? Like not pushing yourself or your staff or your volunteers outside and slogging it when it's
no,
not the right weather for it at this time of year.
that's right. Yep.
But I guess I just wanted to touch on like your growth mindset, I think is
Mm.
part of why people are inspired and want to, volunteer and help you and see you succeed and maybe offer donations and help you clean up is because despite what's happened, there
Mm.
is that silver line. You're speaking to the silver lining, and that it was a catastrophic experience, yet you've been able to utilize that and pivot in a way where you now have a business that on many levels has led
Mm.
more down a sustainable path, which is more in alignment with who you are and what you do. And if you were just complaining and,
Yeah.
if you didn't have that growth mindset, people probably wouldn't want to hang out and be like on the mission
No,
in motion with you.
no, I get you totally, and I appreciate that. Something that has stuck with me over the years, and I don't know where I heard this, but I did look it up yesterday just so I had the absolute facts. Trolleys in a shopping centre. Now, how did people start using a trolley? Well, there's a guy in 1937 named Goldman. He hired people. He invented the trolley, and he hired people to push them around in the shopping centre for people because the women thought they were essentially trying. They felt intimidated because of babies, and they thought that he was trying to put pressure on them by using a shopping trolley to have babies. So the women didn't want to use them for that reason, and the men thought that was too feminine to push a handbag around or a trolley or something like that. But so what did he do? I think he had a supermarket. You can look it up later, 1937 Goldman. But that's how a shopping cart or trolley started. He actually showed people how to do it. And he had the mindset of, you know what? This is going to help you eventually. So I'm going to actually employ people to do it. And also look at the first Ford, the first car. It no one, everyone said it would never take off because people use horses. And the handbrake, they didn't think the wheels would hold that little stick in the car. So what did he do? He put a hook on the front of a Ford so that people could still tie it up as they tied a horse and cart up. And that's how the car took off. Most people never think of this, but that's what happened. Radical things, radical. So I'm inspired by that sort of stuff. And like I touched on before, with Branson and Elon Musk, they're not balanced people. A business shouldn't be balanced. Everywhere I go, and I hear so much, and I look at so many things, everyone's telling me to balance my life and all. No, successful people are not balanced. They are radically offside. They are radically different. They are absolute crazy people.
They're
And
focusing on different things than the person who's going to their 9 to 5 to shop at Coles and Woolies.
I do get up at 2 a.m. It's just what I do. I can't stop it. I'd rather get up at 4, say. But anyway, I get up early. But you've got to change your mindset to grow.
Yeah.
And my mindset is I'm very vision orientated, but I'm not balanced, that's for sure. And I wish I was somewhat a little more sane, but in many ways. But in business, you need structure. So I'm very structured in everything I do around business, and the more knowledge I get, the more I am structured. But that's very different to my mindset. My mindset is of growth. It's of strategy. It's of working together with other people. It's like you said, the seasonality of things. If the grass is 4 foot high or 5 foot high, and I don't have a tractor, then why mow? Why bother? The neighbours want me to. Why? What's the reason? So I think like that. But you have to do something in life. You have to make a decision, and you have to make a choice, a conscious choice. But more than that, you got to own it. You
Yeah.
have to own it. Now I could just walk away tomorrow, like I said, but if I did, I'd own it. I don't want to, and I'm not going to. You'd have to prize me because I have a do or die mentality. That's what New Guinea taught me. Do or
Yeah.
die. They're below poverty level. They've got nothing, and they're so happy. They're so happy about having nothing now. They do have pressure.
Because they do have a lot that we might see from
Yeah,
the West as a lack of stuff,
yeah.
but they probably have very good social connections
Oh,
and
definitely.
relationship with nature and trust in that faith. What you're speaking to as well really kind of hones in and reminds me of just a lot of the farmers that I've been um, lucky enough to meet over my journey, and in permaculture, but mainly now in working with Sustainable Table. And it's the regenerative farmers are these radical, they're seen as radical, and they're doing things that
Mm.
that actually make a lot of sense at getting really good results. But when you're comparing it to the status quo and I wouldn't even say traditional, because the regenerative movement actually is coming from those Indigenous traditional practices.
Mhm.
But in comparison to the big ag that's maybe been the last 50 to 100 years of the status quo of agriculture, they're, they are getting the weird, the neighbors are looking at them doing their thing and just going, what are you crazy people doing? And they're just like, all this growth mindset, and also the need to pivot based on financial pressures and all of these other things that can look like catastrophic or really hard things to be dealing with in business. When,
Mm.
all farming is business, they need to make money to continue what they're doing, yet it's pivoting into behavior change and doing these different practices.
Yes.
And yeah, unless you're trying out radical things, but like it's radical in terms of you're doing things differently to other people, but it is a strategy, and it is, you're not just doing wild crazy
No.
things, you're just researching and focusing on new information and
Mm.
making calculated decisions that are
Calculated
different
risk.
to other people.
That's right, and everything I do is a calculated risk as well. I
Yeah,
back myself too,
yeah,
and as I said, my faith guides me as well, and I back my faith, my beliefs, and I back myself 1,000%. So, you know, but I handle everything with grace as well. So if you don't handle things with grace, you'll end up on your face. That's because you need to honor people in your life. You need to assist people, help people, community.
yeah,
It's not about making money. It should never be. I know that's what
all
business
about that.
usually is about, but I mean, it's not really about that to me. It's about community. It's about maintaining my perspective, which is not someone else's. The bank doesn't have my perspective, but they back me. When I bought that barramundi farm, just going back to those days, 3 years ago, what did I do? I took a barramundi fish into the bank and asked to speak to the manager. That's what I did. They knew I was radical from the day one before I signed any contracts, anything else. And they said, "What is this for?" I said, "It's a present." "What for?" "For giving me a loan." I saw it. It's already done. Now, I didn't have a job. I just quit my job. She asked me where I worked and all these things. And I said, "Oh, I've just left my job to do this." "Oh, what do you mean, no job?" This was COVID, when everybody said there's no money available, economic crisis. Well, I got a huge $1 million loan. Why? Because I saw it as done. The bank saw that I'm right. I'm going to do something. They had confidence in me, and they still do. And I love the bank because they're my biggest partner. I just have to maintain myself as well.
Relationship, yeah.
But like you said, if I just didn't have this mindset, they would have called the loan already, long time ago.
Yeah.
Instead, they've seen me put money in the bank without an income, and they're just scratching their head. Well, it's strategy. It's
Mm.
strategy. Free sold things, donations, whatever it is. I've sold, I've traded, I've bartered, I've permaculture principles. Talk about jolly principles. I'm
using
bartering
using value available resources.
exactly every day. I
Yeah.
traded the neighbor for some steel, and he did mow some section around my pond. I traded another neighbor for pipe that I had. Well, I don't need that anymore. It's taking up space anyway. I've got to concentrate on building my business. So I'm happy to do those things. But it's all conscious. It's all perspective. It's all growth.
Creative. It's
It's creative
creative.
thinking.
Yeah.
And realistically, you'll never get anywhere if you want it. You have to go to war and get it. So I'm at war every single day. I'm at war with myself. I stretch myself every single day. I do. I have an all-out declaration of war that I will improve every day, and I'll make the right decision too. So if that means that you see me sitting there for an hour in meditation, that's actually going to war. That's the way I look at it.
In
because
what
I'm
way? What
really
do you mean? Like, isn't war kind of like destructive and like I need to make sense of this statement. To
no.
me, war is like destructive and like
Yeah,
I don't know. So how is meditation war?
it's clearing my mind. It's helping me to think. It's helping me to prioritize. It's helping me to focus, and helping me to make clear, accurate decisions, just like you would if you're in the military. That's what I mean.
Okay.
And also, I'm not giving a foothold to anything negative in my life either. And it helps me identify those people, sadly, that actually are taking a little bit from me instead of building me up. And we all know what I'm talking about here. But my biggest hurdle in life, I think, is I'm too spread out and I help too many people. Now, that's a positive, but it also is a hindrance in a business sense. So when I go out all out war,
Yeah.
names come to me, people come to me, things come to me, and then
Uh-huh.
I clarify my thoughts and my actions, and then I talk to people after that and say, hey, I can't actually do this.
Yeah.
This is not my direction or whatever it is. So that's what I mean.
I see. Yeah.
All out
Yeah.
war.
I know
Um,
that from like the warrior archetype where it's like I've got my sword of truth. And
yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
okay, now with this clarity and the grace and calmness that you can
Yeah,
foster through meditation
yeah,
to call in that cleanness, it's like saying no is
yeah.
can be classed as war because
That's right.
but that is the perfect thing that is brings you back to your
Mm,
truth and alignment and keeps you on your path and maybe removing those obstacles and
yeah,
distractions in life from a proactive way. Thank you.
you're
I
right.
get that now. Awesome. I love
But you
it.
can't deviate. You can't actually in business. What I've figured out only this year. My whole life has been one massive deviation and a journey. But if I'm focused on barramundi or aquaponics, I shouldn't be doing Redclaw like now. But you've got to pivot. You've got to learn. You've got to grow. You've got to change, and that's what I've done, and that's what I had to do in New Guinea too, because there's tribal wars. One minute you've got a tribe that you're helping, next minute they're against the next neighbor, and then everybody's actually hurting each other, let's say, and then the military come in and so many things. So I've learned quickly to change, adapt, and my whole childhood, like I touched on earlier, that's all change. It's all adaptation. It's all pivoting. So they're the skills and the knowledge, I guess, interpersonal skills,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, whatever you want to label it as.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of thing that I try and do on a daily basis. I'm not saying I'm an expert at it, not in the slightest, but I try every single day. And I just do a little bit more than everyone else, just a little bit. If you just do 1 minute, this is what I say to my students with aquaponics. If you just do 1 minute a day, or even 30 seconds, just check to make sure there's no roots in that pipe, the overflow pipe, you'll never have a problem. Where people get into an issue with aquaponics, they always say, oh, Rod, it doesn't work. You told me it's going to be easy. It is easy. 30 seconds or 1 minute a day, remove the problem, a future problem, you'll have no problem. But it's when people just, oh, I'll just skip today, oh, I won't bother today. And then it's a week, and then it's a month, and then water overflows, and then your fish die. It's like, you know what? What about the 30 seconds or 1 minute that I said in the
Yeah.
course? Oh, I thought it'd be all right. Well, that's what happens in life if we don't maintain our friendships, our
Yeah.
marriages. There's so much divorce out there and so many angry people and family situations, you name it. We've all been there, done that. So it's just a little bit ringing someone on the phone, seeing if they're okay, whatever it is. It's if we have that sort of mindset in business, in life, then we minimize the problems. Not saying we won't have any. Life is challenging.
Yeah.
No matter where you are on the earth, you've got challenges. It's how you deal with it. And
Yeah.
as again, I'm no expert, but I
I
have a
love
crack.
it. Yeah.
I have a crack at it.
One of my coaches taught me that it's consistent connection. And it
Mm,
can be, connection to that project, connection to these elements and features that you have in your life,
mm.
connection to relationships, connection to just making your bed every morning.
That's
Like
right.
it takes a lot less time than you can make it in your head. How big
Yeah.
because there's resistance and whatever, and you actually just show up and do it on a regular basis. It becomes who
Mm,
you are and your behavior and that consistent connection to the important things in your life just become absorbed in how you live it, and it doesn't become work. It just becomes
No,
who you are.
that's right. But you
Yay.
have to make a choice.
And it comes
And
down to the choice. Yeah,
it comes
intention.
back to a
Choice. Yeah.
intention, conscious decision making process. And
Yeah.
if you make a decision to be friendly, you will be friendly. If you make a decision to just hate the world, well, that's what you're going to be. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron as well. So if
Mm,
you hang around people that will build you up, that's
mm,
what benefits me the most. So it's
mm.
community. So if
Yeah.
I didn't have people around me, there's no way I would have even survived the barramundi problem, let alone a flood on top of that.
Mm.
There's no way. It's a community connection, and
It
those that
does.
live in isolation that say they don't need friends and all. I've had so many people tell me this. A lot of farmers, oh, they say a lot of things, and it's sad because they need connection,
Mm.
and we all need connection. We need a sense of place, and we need friends, really. So I think
Community
it's
works
great.
both ways. It's
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
give and what you receive from
that's right.
goes into
So I think what you're
interaction.
doing with the podcast is fantastic. You're encouraging people, you're strengthening people, you're giving them different viewpoints from lots of different people. I think that's great, and that's the benefit of technology, which is fantastic in this modern day. Which is the same as what happens in New Guinea in the village setting. It's just
Mm.
people talking. Over there, you've got villages all connected together, talking every day over
Yeah.
food usually.
Yeah.
But here we're over the internet and we're not physically together and no idea who's listening, which is great.
I find out when I go out and about and lovely people come up and go, "Oh, I had the podcast. Thanks. I really love that thing." It's like, "Oh, great, it landed."
It's the motion that matters, is
Yeah.
something that I always say. It's not how fast you go or how slow you go, it's the motion. So, like getting back to aquaponics, 30 seconds a day, that's all it takes. Or
Mm.
me cleaning my property, I've got about 30% of junk still to pick up off the ground, but it's 30% only.
Chipping
It's
away.
I've done 70% by
Amazing.
hand, walking, picking up, bending over.
Yeah. You
It's
don't you don't need
just
a gym membership, do you?
oh geez, but that's I just get out of bed and try and learn something every day. That's all I try and do, and it's the simple things in life are usually that you don't
Yeah.
overcomplicate it. I tend to overcomplicate everything. However, I try and unravel my own mess plenty of times, and all of this that I'm sharing today is what I try and do.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's a mindset shift, and sometimes other people also change my mindset. Sometimes, you know, I I'm only human like you are and everyone else. We all have issues in our lives, and it's a choice, but it does come back to each other and our mindset. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
how
when
we
I
operate.
lean on the principle small and
Mm,
slow solutions, because when you are a visionary and you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you've got all of these ideas flooding in, and that's, I guess it's like meditation at that time, where you just like the clarity
mm,
comes and you can see the strategy or the solution to the thing that you've
mm.
been pondering on, and you
Yeah,
just want to go and take action now because you've got this like inspired power behind you of like,
yeah.
okay, that's you. Yeah, the I forgot what I was saying.
It's, well,
The
success
inspired
leaves
action.
clues. Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
So if you find something successful in your life, whatever it is, or business or garden, just keep doing it. Just do a little bit more than the next person. Just do 1 minute. Success leaves clues, and that's what it boils down to. If you want to be successful in life, you got to get off the lounge.
Yeah.
You can sit on the lounge all day long, and I can watch a podcast all day long, or listen to a podcast, or watch YouTube or whatever. But unless you take action,
Yeah.
you're not going to grow. Yes, you're learning knowledge, but you've got to implement that knowledge in your own
Yeah.
backyard to be
Yeah.
successful in your own backyard, or whatever it is in
The
life.
wisdom comes through the doing,
Yeah.
not just the intellectual understanding. Yeah. So, since you've worked with so many different plants, and maybe this answer will come from what you noticed utilized the most by people in Papua New Guinea, but Can you share an example of where you've seen plants utilized for people's health? Like, is there a plant that you could recommend that you feel like, you've definitely been working a lot in the
Mm.
tropical region? What's
Yep.
a, what's a standout that you've seen?
Standout to me is Kangkong. That's
Yum.
a staple. It's all over the Pacific. It's all over far north Queensland, and actually, it's very underrated. Most people don't even worry too much about it, but Kangkong, like from a aquaponics point of view, that's the first thing I always plant in everybody's system. Most people have never seen it, never know anything about it. They just want to grow fish and some veggies, and they want lettuce and kale and a few things. And I say, well, we're going to put Kangkong in. Why? It grows so rapidly. It's such a quick growing plant. It just needs sunlight, a bit of water, a bit of nutrient. That's the first pioneer kind of species that I put in. It just takes over the whole bed. It really helps build the bacteria up in the aquaponic system, and then you can eat it. It never stops growing. Basil, spinach is another one. Brazilian spinach and tropical tree lettuce. All these things are rapid, fast-growing plants in aquaponics. I'm talking about here. But if I was talking from a New Guinea kind of context, there's a thing called salat. That's pigeon, top pigeon. It's a stinging plant, and I'm not talking about an edible plant here. You can eat it, but most people don't. Um, Am I still on the air here? I think we
Yeah.
lost. Oh no, it just flashed off. But anyway, stinging plant. If you've got a headache in New Guinea, or if you cut yourself, you hurt yourself, you're injured, whatever reason, what do? They get this salat, stinging plant, and they whack it all over your back. Now, what that does, it takes the pain away from the area and the problem. Now, it might sound crazy in our Western society, but it actually makes a jolly lot of sense. And that plant is highly utilized to take pain away. And it does. It concentrates pain in a different spot, I guess. But it also, it just jolts you. It jolts your mindset. It helps you. You can eat it, but that's not the main intention. The main intention is to just, I guess, to comfort you, even though it actually induces a bit of pain. But there's some serious injuries up there. They lose
Yeah.
fingers and arms and gunshots all the time. Well,
They don't
yes,
have
they
anesthetic. This is their
no
anesthetic.
anesthetics, very
Yeah.
few hospitals, very few, and that's I was trying to fix that and build a lot of things. But if you're somewhere without an aid post, first of all, there's hardly any roads. You've got to get there somehow, and people carry you for days to get to the nearest hospital. We got it made here in Australia, but they whack that salad all over you, and it does take the pain away from the problem. So that is a very different approach to probably your question and the answer that you were thinking.
No, no, it's a
It-
great
It's,
example.
it's just an example of a traditional culture and
Yeah.
a local plant that
Solution.
is
Yeah.
utilized in a very different way than what we would think in Australia.
Is
There's
that
so
the
many.
same singing plant that we have here in the rainforest?
It's a similar species. There's many
Okay.
different species, but the one we've got here is very different. The one I'm thinking about is a very low shrub. The one we've got in our rainforest, huge leaves. This is small leaves, so you can grab it and whack it.
Okay.
um, and I've often had it all over my back, and it does take the pain away from if you've got a splitting headache, migraine, or whatever. Pain's gone. You've
Yeah.
got a temporary pain for about 5 minutes on your back, but your headache's gone. It's a
Okay.
quick way to get rid of pain. No medicine whatsoever. It's a bush
Wow.
medicine, traditional medicine.
And how do you spell it?
Good
The
question.
pigeon way, like
I think it's SALT, Salat. I think
okay,
a lot of pigeons not actually written down, but
sure.
it's that's what it's called. But it's a stinging plant. It's
Yeah.
just a stinging plant. And I was fascinated when I first got whacked with it
Yeah.
by my wife, who's from New Guinea. Her mother whacked me with this plant when I said I had a headache, and suddenly I was whacked on the back with this plant and on the back of the neck. And I thought, okay, thank you. And I didn't realize what was happening. And then suddenly I felt this massive pain. But then I realized the headache had gone. And she didn't explain it because she couldn't speak English. But she didn't explain it in pidgin either. It's just what she did.
Yeah.
But it helped me. And then after
Amazing.
that, I really figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
stinging nettle is like that's a very common plant
mm,
that's used here and used in a
mm.
similar way. Yeah. Love it. All right. So please share what is alive and thriving in your life right now?
What's alive and thriving? Good question. Well,
What?
my Redclaw are growing, which is
Yay.
good. I fully have restocked my 11 ponds, and my vision is growing. I'm working in Indigenous communities. I've had 4 different consulting gigs the last year. It's the new year now. So that just it didn't just happen. I planned it. I tried hard, and I went forward, and I looked for that. So that is something that's starting to blossom. Not thriving yet, but it's blossoming. But really, the connection that I have with my friends is thriving. Now, it's something um, very important to me, and also family as well. Um, it's hard to maintain, as I said before, in many ways, and I could have just forgot about everybody, and I did sometimes. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was up to my eyeballs in mess and problems, and woe is me. I did that a few times, um, but I didn't stay there. I never do. I didn't have a pity party for more than a few hours, and then I snapped myself back out of it, and I said, "What the heck are you thinking?" But that's a few hours is enough. So family connections. I've spent more time calling different people recently than I've ever done in my life because I've realised the connection that I need personally, but also to maintain existing connections over the years. I moved to Cairns from New South Wales as well, so a lot of those people I haven't reconnected with. So I've started to do that more and more since the flood, just to say hi, talk a little bit, and that has helped me, but also I'm sure has connected with them as well. So
Mm.
I'd say connections are thriving now more than anything, and building friendships and building my own business as well. I'm not in profit mode yet. I'm not even making anything, but I will, and I can see it, and
Mm.
it's happening. So from that point of view, it's already thriving. I'm thriving in business, and as I said before, I see it first, and I am thriving. I am capable. I am doing it, and I will succeed. I am succeeding, and if I give myself those affirmations as well, that's another big thing that I try and do every day is affirmation. And as I said, I see it, and then I believe it. It's affirming what I know within myself and what I've been taught from other people as well over the years and what works.
Mm.
So thriving in that sense is reconnections with old friends and making new friends. And I go out of my way to meet people. I really do. I've really um, tried hard last year to meet more people. Like even though I didn't want to talk about the farm, and new people don't even know about the farm, so it's really good. Old friends, I actually did avoid some of them because they wanted to know about my problems, and I didn't want to talk about the
Mm.
problems. I want to talk about
The future.
what's in your life and future. So, in that sense, I'm thriving in making new connections and
Mm.
maintaining old connections. That's another reason I'm doing this podcast with you, Tennille, and
Beautiful.
working with you with the last group that we had, and that's why I sought you out and tried to really get back in the groove myself, but also like-minded people like yourself and Blake to work together and help each other in life and in business, And that's where people grow. That's how people succeed. You can't do anything on your own. It's a myth. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like if we go back to what I said about Richard Branson and Elon Musk, you think those guys are alone? They got thousands of
Big
staff.
team. Big
What do
team.
they actually do? Huge team. They
Yeah.
direct. They have vision. Oh, we got that.
Yeah.
I just need the team.
Yeah.
We are our own team right now.
Yeah.
So to thrive, I need to put people in positions. I do need staff in the future, and I will.
It'll
I
come.
want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. But I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on connections right now to build business,
Yeah.
learn, educate myself, and help other people. And if you can do that in life, then you're success already. It doesn't have to come from Redclaw or permaculture or whatever you're growing or whatever it is. You're already successful. You don't
Yeah.
need other people's labels on you to tell you that you are a success or failure. You're already a success. You've got more than most people if you've got a single friend, I think.
Yeah, beautiful. And like there's, the entrepreneurial journey with the other layer of doing it from a sustainable
Mm,
perspective does require that investment on all
yep,
levels, the internal investment, the mindset growth,
yep.
and continually showing up for that,
Mm,
the financial, all those different aspects. And then, yeah, that belief. then
mm,
then the other, it just takes time, and you're totally
mm.
getting there, even considering the challenges that have come that I see, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you see now as like this silver lining. It's like
Mm.
a
Well, I did.
big lesson that's like anchored really strongly,
Mm.
but is leading you in this amazing direction.
You can have desperation or you can have inspiration. That's
Mm.
I started out with desperation, utter desperation when the flood hit me. I did. There's no denying it. I was, absolute a wreck for about an hour. And then I figured out, I said, well, this is a blessing. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And
What are my options here?
let's go with that. You can be desperate or you can be inspired. So, although, they're the choices that I see anyway. Um, you know, and if you look to um, friendships and community, and you look to wisdom, knowledge, and faith, you can achieve anything in this world.
Mhm.
You really can, and that's what I focus on. I look to the Creator of the heavens for my wisdom. That's what I do, and I just keep going, keep moving, and I do try and inspire other people. That's another reason I did this today. And I don't have too many opportunities to reach such a wide audience. So that's another reason I jumped on to help you, because I'm all about teaching other people too, and trying to inspire other people. And if I can do it when I lost everything multiple times, my entire life I've lost everything, I must say, um, you know, then anyone with money can do a lot more than what I
They could
can
do it a
with
lot
nothing.
quicker.
Yeah, sure. I'm doing everything or nothing. A shoestring budget. Not even. I don't even have a shoe. I got the string. So you know what I mean? It's all trading and bartering and just making things happen. That's
Yeah.
all I can do.
Well, that
But
is an inspiration, and I'm sure a lot of people can gain a lot of wisdom from your journey. And so, is there, like, I know the Redclaw business is one thing, but is there a way that people can like learn with you now if they're not part of a school group or doing the consultancy? Is there, like, what are you offering with the Aquaponics Gardener?
yeah. Well, yeah. With Aquaponic Gardener, I do physical courses and also online courses. So that's aquaponicgardener.com.au. I do need to start running a few more, that's for sure. I have been split my time. But yeah, aquaponicgardener.com.au. I do offer courses really every couple of months. And I do group courses online together, do short courses and a couple of day courses. And the other website that I've got is Redclaw, which is Barron River redclaw.com.au. And on that
Amazing.
site, you can learn what I'm up to. I do a lot of blogs on there, and you can follow the journey. But if you want to come visit sometime, feel free. I do farm tours as well. Yeah, and hopefully I am linking up with other different organisations to try and get myself out there a little bit more. And hopefully you and I can do a lot more together as
Yeah,
well.
I'd love that. And so I'm going to put all of those links in the show notes as well, so people can just scroll down and click on them and find all of that information, which would be great. But I really appreciate the time you spent today, and it's been nice because it's like, I guess the time we've had in the past has been like technical and on topic of like how to
Mm.
aquaculture, how to do aquaponics and things like that. So I've really loved this conversation around, I guess it, like, the magic that came out of this was uh, the growth mindset and sustainable business, and the connections and relationships are really, yeah, looking to the silver lining and focusing on a growth mindset to get to the vision through the hardships. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people find inspiration through that. Hopefully connect and learn how to grow fish and food together. I like that
Awesome.
saying. Aquaponics is a bit like permaculture. Everyone was like, "What is that?" And it's like food gardens, okay? They're food gardens, and now you say food gardens, and they're like, "Oh, you mean permaculture?"
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
It's good.
Come full
The
circle.
world's caught up.
That's it. But
Love
I
it.
appreciate you and your time and your listeners. And no, thanks for the opportunity.
Beautiful.
If
Thanks,
anyone's got any
Rod.
questions, let me know.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it now with someone you know will benefit from this information. And remember, we're not just talking about change, we are cultivating it. Through these conversations and through the Elder Tree Patreon community, together we are sowing the seeds for an education center and healing sanctuary. You can unlock access to our treasure trove of wisdom via our Patreon, so you can do that in the show notes below or from our website. Please subscribe now and leave us a review. It really helps the bots share our podcast with the world, and your support ensures that this podcast and our vision can thrive. To grow them is to know them is to use them is to love them, and then happily herbs become your way of life. May you be blessed with good health and many plants.